r/ask Reddit. What is one item you did not realize was expensive until you became an adult? Taking the whole family out to dinner. Man, that shit adds up. Right, I am married but without kids, and occasionally we dine with my parents and siblings. My siblings and I would just split the cost because man, we feel the burn in the pockets. My dad and mom used to take us out on Fridays. Myself and my spouse and 2 kids. Both my brothers and both their spouses. Every Friday. Didn't take long to quit that shit, or for us to begin to cycle in paying for dinner, when we realized every Friday cost my parents a few $100. In my country it's kind of a custom for the hosts and the guests to fight over the bill. As a kid I believe they legit wanted to pay for the whole table. But now as an adult I wonder how much of the fighting was done with the hope of losing out. Tires. I always imagined they were like $50 a piece and the installation was part of the sales price. First time I saw the $700 bill for 4 new tires I about cried. My husband and I own an auto repair shop, and one of our services is we sell tires. We make a 10% profit on tires. I know it's not the service station's fault that prices are so high, and honestly they last quite a long time. The price makes sense. I just thought they would be cheaper before I had ever had to sit down and think about it. Owning a car. I knew buying one was expensive, even second hand, but just owning one, car insurance, road taxes, gasoline, yearly maintenance, even it just sitting in the parking lot during the pandemic, it's costing me quite a bit. The cost of gas was something I really didn't understand as a kid, because I never put together that the price on the signs was per gallon and you needed multiple gallons. I always heard my parents complain about the cost and I thought they were being overly whiny about it since the sign said gas was only a few bucks. I remember my parents complaining when the price of gas went over $1. I thought they were crazy. Even to a child $1 isn't much money. When I started driving, gas had just tipped over $3 and I suddenly understood their pain. Curtains. Fabrics in general cost a ducking fortune. No wonder nobody sews anymore. My mom makes quilts. By the time she buys the fabric, sews it all together and has someone quilt it on the big quilting matching, she's put probably $300 between time and money into it. And people get crabby because handmade quilts cost so much. Well damn, look at how much goes into one. Does Christmas in general count? A place to live. My shocked when I realized a parking spot in New York is worth more than a 3-story apartment building in my country. Literally everything I wanted for nothing as a child and thought that was how it went. What a blessed upbringing. Same. I didn't have a concept how much money you needed to live like I grew up until I was almost through college. Man, if I knew that I would have made some different education decisions. Same. I really feel like I'd have tried more and gotten into a field that's lucrative or at least useful and passed on the English degree. Raspberries. Nothing like having a stern talk with yourself in the grocery store. Raspberries or a chicken you can turn into a week's meals. Pineapple or the big box of store brand baking mix. The first time I had that taking to with myself, I said shut the duck up out loud and walked away. Insulin. Boy howdy was I not ready. I knew a dude who drove up to Canada every few months because it was like $20 there. For reference, I live in Iowa. I also live in Iowa, factoring in cost of gas, because it's quite a ways back and forth. Still probably cheaper to drive to Canada. Batteries. As a kid I would always need batteries for my remote control cars or any battery operated toy. Man, do I regret wasting them as a kid. I probably used more batteries while owning a Sega Game Gear than batteries in the rest of my life. Staying alive. Fresh fruits and high quality ingredients to make meals are expensive, and I didn't realize how lucky I was until I left home. Now I love visiting the parents because the meals are healthy and have great ingredients. For me it was finally understanding why I hate vegetables. If all your family can afford is canned, you can go an entire childhood without having a single decent tasting veggie. I go for frozen veggies. They're a step above in quality, while still being relatively cheap. Toys. Legos are expensive. Now that my kid and I play daily with the same bucket of Legos my brothers and I played with as a kid, I understand the timeless nature and build quality. Having lasted countless hours of playing and 20+ years in an attic, so I don't hesitate to buy new sets. We both have so much fun with them, and who knows, maybe one day his kids will play with the same ones. But yes, they've gotten more expensive over time, especially branded ones like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Ninjago. Fast food. I guess mom was right. We do have food at home. Cheese. Man, if I make it big one day, I'm gonna buy so much ducking goat cheese. Pounds of it. Entire logs. Eat it in one sitting. Printer ink. That shit's like liquid gold. The bloody printer is usually cheaper than the replacement ink cartridges. That's how they get you. It's an endless loop of buying cheap printers just to replace the ink. Once you go laser, you never go back. No more $75 per page printing costs, because with inkjet you always have to buy a whole new set of ink cartridges whenever you want to print something. It just works. For years and years. Baby formula. That shit is like $20 a can. And there was a period where our daughter was demolishing a can a day. There was a point in time where my kid's formula was costing $600 a month, which was 1/3 of our combined income at the time. I found myself in the position of having to skip 2 meals a day just to afford to feed the rest of my family. Insane, isn't it? And when that's the only option for a baby, you have no other choice but to sacrifice somewhere else. I hope things are easier for you now. I'm fortunate enough that I can make a monthly donation to a food bank of groceries. And I'm always sure to include baby formula because I feel like it's so necessary and it's not something most can afford. Or most think to donate because it's such a pricey item. Right? Those food banks really do help people so much. There were times we wouldn't have had anything to eat without them. We still ain't doing great, but we have doubled the monthly income since then and at least have enough for bills and groceries now. Custom framing. Hundreds of dollars for a nice frame with mat. I still don't understand how it gets up so high. Yup, I just go to thrift shops looking for something about the right size. Then I hit the arts and crafts store for an appropriate shade of poster board. And, if needed, the hardware store where I have them cut a piece of glass to the right size. And I have a nice framed photo or piece of art for less than $20. It helps that I bought a cheap mat cutter a few years ago and have lots of poster board scraps for the smaller stuff. A few years ago things were going well and I was feeling kind of fat. So I started hitting art shows and buying inexpensive pieces and prints. I could leave with $100 in originals or nice prints, but to display them would run 3-4x that. Glasses and contacts. Even if you have vision insurance, you often have to pay extra to get something decent quality. Why do I have to pay to see? I have vision insurance and wear both contacts and glasses. I finally did the math. After I had already re-enrolled of course, and I'm getting ripped off. My insurance covers an eyeglass exam only. I have to pay for the contact fitting. Then I can get either 6 months of contacts or a cheap pair of LensCrafters glasses. No thinned lenses or anti-glare unless I pick extra cheap frames. I recently discovered Zenni and I'm kicking myself in the ass for keeping my vision plan. All the general household supplies your parents used to buy. Never fun to have to spend your hard-earned money on shit tickets, sponges, shampoo, Windex, paper towel, etc. Razor blades. How ducking expensive are they? Learn to use a double-edged safety razor. $10 for 100 blades. Second this. If it wasn't for my double edge when I was in my late teens early 20s, I'd have been broke. Instead, I spent probably $30 on blades and it lasted me 6-7 years. Taking your family to Disney. When you're a kid you're like, man, what's the big deal? But when you're an adult, it's literally almost like the cost of a vacation in itself just to go to the park for a day. Disney, or Universal, is an interesting one, because you can be clever and make it cheaper if you work hard at it. Wait for deals. Go with the value hotels. It's still not cheap by any stretch, but you can find ways to lighten the bill a touch. But it's also so easy to justify spending money on the fast passes. At Universal, Disney removes this temptation, because you spent so much money to get here. Why spend the limited time online? or getting a slightly closer hotel to the parks which costs just a bunch more, or the damned park hoppers which are basically necessary anyway. And I am constantly amazed how much my father having a beer in his hand throughout the entire day at the parks must have cost. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.